Hello everyone, it's day 78 of President Bola Tinubu's administration and we're back monitoring developments in his first 100 days in office. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. In what seems a swift reaction to the threat by NLC to declare a total indefinite nationwide shutdown of the country, President Bola Tinubu has now assured that the pump price of petrol will not be increased, despite speculations about a possible hike due to the landing cost of premium motor spirit. The president also emphasized that the policy of deregulation will continue to be implemented by his administration, as no single entity will be allowed to control the market. Special advisor to the president on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngalaele, told State House correspondents that the president acknowledges the inefficiencies in the downstream and upstream sector in the oil and gas industry, and there's already an ongoing process to tidy up that critical sector. President Tinubu says it's incumbent on all stakeholders in the sector to hold their peace, and he believes the threat of a nationwide strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress is premature, but urged them to rather do fact-finding into issues in the downstream and upstream sector. Remember that the acting governor of the CBN yesterday did say President Tinubu has approved drastic measures that will immediately reverse the current momentum in the foreign exchange market. He added that President Tinubu is concerned about the developments in the foreign exchange and its impact on ordinary Nigerians, saying that the president is seeking to improve the liquidity in the market with the new measures that will be rolled out by the country's apex bank. Let's get more updates on the impending, what Labour calls impending full price hike and the threat by organized labor. State House correspondent Femi Akonde has the special advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngalaele, live at the presidential villa in Abuja. Femi, it's over to you.
Yes, thanks, Lifemi. You know, the special advisor to the president on media and publicity briefed shortly talking about the pump price of petrol. He says President Bola Tinubu emphatically told him in the meeting they had today that the pump price of petrol will not be increased. But you know, Lifemi, let me invite the special advisor to the president on media and publicity to give us clarity into the issues surrounding the rumored hike in the increase of our pump price. Hello, Ngalaele, and thank you for joining us on the first 100 days in office, President Tinubu's administration. You briefed a while ago talking about the pump price and petrol and the issues in the downstream and upstream sector. But President Bola Tinubu was emphatic, like you said, that the pump price will not be hiked as we speak.
Thank you very much, Femi. So it is absolutely true that His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has always been, first and foremost, concerned with the plight of the average Nigerian, the man and woman on in the market, toiling to make ends meet. And he is not going to do anything that is going to jeopardize their ability to provide for themselves and their families. And he's been very clear about that. Now, in view of that reality, the president also recognizes that we have put in place a deregulation policy in the petroleum industry, which he would not want to in any way, shape or form reverse or tamper with. Now, he has come to the conclusion, based on the information before him, that we can maintain the current pricing where it is as a country in collaboration with the private sector partners. This is not simply an NNPC decision. This is a decision that will be arrived at by all stakeholders involving the private sector as well, that we can maintain the current pricing regime, the pump price of PMS across this country by dealing with existing inefficiencies across the midstream petroleum sector as well as the downstream subsector of the petroleum industry. So this is the president's focus. There are quick wins. These are low-hanging fruit that we can pluck. We know where these inefficiencies are. We have been working on them before now. But what the president has now done is to say, look, all of the stakeholders must come to the table and assiduously and expeditiously, very quickly, deal with those inefficiencies in such a way that we wouldn't even have to consider, the notion of reversing our policy on deregulation, rather instead maintaining the current current price by cleaning up some of these inefficiencies. And that's the focus of Mr. President.
Okay, and then this is cheering news for a lot of Nigerians who are already worried about a possible hike in the pump price of petrol.
Sure.
And also, it would also help calm frayed nerves, especially within the organized labor, with their threat of a nationwide strike and all of that. But you said that, well, they should go on a fact-finding mission to look at the issues in the midstream and downstream sector. What are some of these issues?
That's absolutely correct, Femi. The truth is that oftentimes, and we're very respectful and very humble in our dealings with organized labor. Certainly, His Excellency, Mr. President, has sent a very clear signal that his administration, in dealing with any stakeholder group or organization in the country, that his administration will be humble in their approach, kind and respectful. And that's what he's been with organized labor. But even in that, we will call out certain tendencies that we think are unhelpful to the body politic. And at a time when families are struggling from high energy prices, high food prices, stagnating wages, and some of the other challenges that we all know about, the president's position is that we will not allow for unnecessary saber rattling or any intention or any action on the part of any group that will actively and intentionally exploit the frustration in the society to foment a crisis. That is unacceptable to us. And what we have clearly articulated as an administration under the leadership of Mr. President is that organized labor must adopt and inculcate the practice of due diligence and fact-finding before they come out with these very, very inflammatory public, statements that have the tendency of creating fear and panic amongst the populace related to issues like our currency, related to issues like fuel, when in fact we have Naira in circulation in a way that was not possible during the elections, if you would recall. We have fuel in steady supply across all states of the Federation. We have seen from pre to post-subsidy removal a reduction in national consumption from approximately 67 million liters per day down to about 46 million liters per day, a difference of 21 million. So the facts speak for themselves. And obviously, we've seen the massive increment in terms of FAC allocation from approximately 700 billion pre-subsidy monthly to now over 1.9 trillion. The facts speak for themselves. So what the president is saying is that organized labor should be responsible in its utterances and should be rational in the way that it approaches national conversation, considering the fact that Nigerians are in a difficult moment, and that yes, they represent the interests of the Nigerian worker, and we respect that. We represent the interests of the Nigerian electorate and the Nigerian citizenry, and they should respect that. And together, we should set a tone of civility and mutual respect.
Well, Ajuri, a lot of people have said, including oil marketers, that one of the reasons why the landing cost of PMS is quite high is because of the lack of Forex or access to Forex. Yesterday, the CBN governor also briefed State House correspondents talking about measures that will be put in place. But will these measures also significantly affect the stability that the federal government, the President Tinubu's administration, is trying to ensure that this pump price of petrol is stable and probably goes down someday?
Certainly, the foreign exchange issue in the country as it relates to illiquidity, and obviously the findings which under Mr. President's leadership, the CBN has opened its books in recent days and weeks, and Nigerians now know the extent to which the monetary and economic fundamentals of the country were being adversely impacted, to say the least, under the previous gross mismanagement of the CBN at that time. Now, we can't simply complain or lament. We are the administration in office, and our job now is to provide solutions. Mr. President is the champion of no excuses. So he's not making any excuses. He's working around the clock, morning to night, looking for solutions to the nation's problems. And on the issue of Forex, I'm very happy to report that as of yesterday, you'd recall that the acting central bank governor was called in to meet with Mr. President. Mr. President did express his very deep concerns as it relates to the foreign exchange availability issue in the country. And he was assured by the acting central bank governor that not only have solutions been located, but they are already being implemented. I believe some announcements will be coming out later this week and early next week as to certain positive developments as it relates to foreign exchange injections into the economy that Nigerians can look forward to. There's good news on the horizon, and that's as a result of Mr. President's work ethic and dedication to ensure that we reverse whatever negative trends that we've seen in the economy over the course of the next days and weeks. But I will say this, with those positive measures that Mr. President is putting in place, it is going to have a tangible impact on what is now being seen as a fuel crisis. But we want to, again, reiterate, there is no issue, no problem whatsoever around fuel supply and availability in any state of the Federation. Nigerians will be able to easily access fuel in all states of the Federation at the current pricing template.
Okay, then you also showed us a graph that the president shared with you, data about the fuel price in Nigeria and what is obtainable in other African and even West African countries. And from your analysis, it appears as if, yes, though tough for Nigerians and understandably so, but it appears as if it's still a bit better in our country.
There's no question that if you look at the comparative analysis between Nigeria and its West African neighbors, not only are we the cheapest, not only do we hold the cheapest pump price across all West African nations, barring none, but you would find that there's a massive gap between, the Nigerian pump price, for example, and other West African countries. As we cited, you had Senegal at over 1,000 naira per litre exchange rate conversion for their PMS. You had countries like Cote d'Ivoire over 1,000, and the closest one was in the 700s. So we are significantly cheaper than everybody else, ranging between 580 and 630 naira per litre. So there are benefits, but sometimes when you're used to having an artificially low fuel price, 150 naira per litre, 165, etc., it's only natural as a human instinct that anything above that would seem like chaos. But when you compare it to what other countries with significantly worse economic fundamentals, when you talk about per capita income in some of these other West African countries, and the fact that even though they have economic indices far worse than Nigeria, their people are managing to still live their lives and conduct their family budgets on fuel price of over 1,000 naira per litre. We're not saying it's easy. We certainly approach our Nigerian families with a lot of empathy, and Mr. President is very clear about that. But we are saying that it could certainly be worse, and we are going to continue to make efforts to ensure that things only get better from here and not worse.
All right, then lastly, before you go, you said Mr. President does not want to make excuses, but Nigerians are also saying that could it also mean that the current hardship that a lot of people are going through are repercussions for actions of people entrusted with positions of authority in the past?
Well, you can never underestimate the level of skepticism that has been built into the society over decades of maladministration and failed leadership. So, as I always say, every government, as a result of the history, has earned the skepticism of Nigerians. What we now have to do is earn their trust. And the way that you earn the trust of Nigerians is ensuring that you do what you say you're going to do. If you're going to build an infrastructure project that you say is in 3 years, make sure that in 3 years it's on the ground. If you're saying that there's going to be steady supply of fuel, make sure that that supply is truly steady. And our commitment is to communicate effectively with Nigerians and ensure that they do not engage in panic buying and other acts that will now create an artificial scarcity that does not exist. So we're pleading with our people to understand from the presidency, from the mouth of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that there is no lack of fuel supply in this country. Products are stable, the supply of them are stable, and the cost will not increase as a result of the measures Mr. President is putting in place to reduce inefficiency in the mid and downstream petroleum sectors.
Okay, and the 62% approval rating we have seen of President Bola Tinubu's administration, is that a sense of trust that he's earning from Nigerians?
Well, to be frank, this is a man who came in with extensive, in comparison probably with any other president, unprecedented credibility. And the reason why was because of what he achieved in Lagos. You know, when you've achieved a lot in your history, you don't have to do a lot of talking about the future because people already know your track record. His track record in Lagos spoke for itself. And now that he's in office, Nigerians know that he has been thrown into a hole that he now has to dig us out of. They understand that this is not a Muhammadu Buhari problem. It is not an APC problem. We're talking about 50 years worth of problems that successive administrations are working very hard to dig out of. And Mr. President is uniquely positioned as someone who dug Lagos out of a deep hole to dig the Federal Republic of Nigeria out of a bigger hole. He can do it. He's the man for the job, and Nigerians believe in him.
All right, thank you so much, Ajuri Ngalaele, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. Well, over to you, Nifemi, to continue with the rest of the program.